जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन भल्लभा जय गिरिभरधारी जय गिरिभरधारी जय गोपी जन भल्लभा जय गिरिभरधारी जय गिरिभरधारी जय यशोदानंदन जय ब्रज जनरंजन जय ब्रज जनरंजन जय यशोदानंदन जय ब्रज जनरंजन जय ब्रज जनरंजन जय जमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय जमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य Ashtotara Shatashi Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Grantara Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishiguru and Shiguranga. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonum, Chapter 45. Krishna rescues his teacher's son, texts 11 and 12. Sinchata Vasudharabhi Sneha Nacha Britau Na Kinchin Uchatu Rajam Baspakantau Bimohitau Sinchata Vasudharabhi Sneha Nacha Britau Na Kinchin Uchatu Rajam Baspakantau Bimohitau Sinchanta Vasudharabhi Sneha Nacha Britau Na Kinchin Uchatu Rajam Baspakantau Bimohitau Sinchata Vasudharabhi Sneha Nacha Britau Na Kinchin Uchatu Rajam Baspakantau Bimohitau Sinchantam Vasudharabhi Sneha Nacha Britau Nat Kinchin Uchatu Rajam Baspakantau Bimohitau Sinchantau sprinkling Ashu of tears Dharabhihi with showers Sneha of affection Pashena by the robe Cha and Avritau envelope Na not Kinchit anything Uchatuhu they spoke Rajam O King Parikshit Baspa full of tears Kantau whose throat Bimohitau overwhelmed. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Pouring out a shower of tears upon the Lord, his parents, who were bound by the rope of affection, could not speak. They were overwhelmed, O King, and their throats shook up with tears. Text number 12. Evan abasya pitarao Bhagavan devaki shuta Mahat matamahantu grasenam Yadunan Akaron Ripam. Translation. Thus, having comforted his mother and father, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the son of Devaki, installed his maternal grandfather, Ugrasena, as king of the Yadus. Om Agyana Timerandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Romapada Swami Iti Namane. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Jiva Goswami comments on text number 11. Again, text number 11 reads, pouring out a shower of tears upon the Lord his parents, who were bound up by the rope of affection, could not speak. They were overwhelmed, all kin, and their throats choked up with tears. Srila Jiva Goswami comments, the word cha indicates all the items mentioned. They were permeated internally and externally with prema, which was like a rope weapon, inescapable and long. They could not understand anything bimohitao. Tears were in their throats, so they could not speak a word. All they did was stand there, showered with tears like an abhishek. O king, this condition of being filled with prema can be understood by you. All this behavior should not be seen by Nanda, since Krishna treated both Vasudeva and Nanda as his father, but not in the other presence. Krishna's thoughtfulness, just making sure that he doesn't disrupt the mood, of either one of them, Nanda and Vasudeva. So, Srila Sanatana Goswami comments on this verse. They could not speak at all because their throats were choked with tears. They were completely bewildered. They could not understand anything. They showered tears and soaked Krishna because they were covered with ropes of prema completely, which were tight and long. O king, being naturally affectionate, you can understand this. One says that it takes one to understand, how's it go? It takes one to understand someone else or another, Well, what it means, that someone who have a particular experience can understand someone else who have the similar type of experience. So in this case, Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee of the Lord. So he can understand the overwhelmed feelings of pure devotion in the presence of the Lord. So, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is explained that, when there's a collision of particular moods, then there is a space of when there is a collision, you're always in shock. When something, hits, something, there's it's like a collision. So then you're in shock and you completely bewildered. So it happens, when there is these collisions of rasas, come, the devotee becomes completely bewildered. So in this case, the only thing that happens was just an explosion of tears. We know it's the aspiration of the devotees to come to that stage of this flow of emotion, of love of Godhead, Krishna Prema, to become manifested. And the symptoms of that prema manifest both internally and externally. These are called the anubhavas and the vyabhichari bhavas. So they're internal and internal manifestations of these moods of ecstasy. And so Lord Chaitanya, in the Shikshastika, he brings us through the aspiration of the devotee. The Shikshastika 1 tells us, of all the treasures, the 7 treasures that comes out of the chanting of the holy name. And then Shikshastika 2 tells us of the lamentation, that also we understand that. And we know Krishna, in Krishna's holy name, all these powers are there. He's fully there. And this is so unfortunate that even though that is understood, I have no attraction. I have no attraction for chanting the holy name. And then how can I get that attraction? Well, I have to cultivate Shikshastika 3. I have to cultivate these qualities. The quality of humility, respect, the quality of tolerance. So by cultivating these qualities, I can, and perfected them, I can come to the stage of actually chanting the holy name constantly, to have a taste for that. And then in that mood, I can actually call for the Lord's mercy, to expect the Lord to actually pick me up from the ocean of birth and death. And well, Shikshastika 4 is, in the mood of chanting the holy name, I become free from all attachments and desires. In that stage of freedom from all these material desires, is called the Vasudev stage, which is a stage of transcendence, the stage of the transcendental position. That stage is also described as the Sudasattva stage, or the Brahma Buddha stage also is described. So these are all synonyms. That's it, synonyms. How you say? That. Not cinnamon, but cinnamons. Sorry for my... But, so these are all similar. They refer to the same thing, the stage of transcendental consciousness. The Vasudev stage, the Sudasattva stage, the Brahma Buddha stage. When one becomes fully situated in one spiritual position. And in that position, Brahma Buddha prasadana na sochati na kanchati. There is no more hankering and lamentation. One becomes free from attachments and desires. So that's the stage in which there is one becomes, is actually controlled by the internal potency of the Lord, the Yoga Maya potency. And the Yoga Maya potency is the aspect of the Maya potency of the Lord that is the one that unifies us with the Lord. It's the potency of unity with the Lord. It manifests unity with the Lord, Yoga Maya. The other aspect of Maya is Mahamaya, that separates us from the Lord. So, it's like having electricity being converted in heat or air conditioned, right? So you have two opposite things. So the Yoga Maya potency unifies us, the Mahamaya separates us, like that. But they're both covering. And the rule there is explained that there is these two types of Bhutas. In the scriptures, in the Bhagavad Gita, these two types of Bhutas are explained. Bhuta means the living entity, or the living entity. And so there is the Brahma Bhuta, that we just say. The Brahma Bhuta is a living entity that is fully is in the spiritual realization. It's in the spiritual position. It's completely self-realized, Brahma Bhuta. And then there's a Jiva Bhuta. The Jiva Bhuta is when the living entity is fully absorbed in material consciousness. So we hear, Icha Dvesha Samud, Jiva. What is it? No, that's not the one. I can't remember. Jiva Bhuta Sanatanam. The one that the Lord said that the spirit souls are eternally parts and parser. I can't remember the full verse. Eternally, the Jiva Bhuta, the spirit soul that is in this material world, they're eternally part and parcels of the Lord. So Jiva Bhuta and Brahma Bhuta. So by the process of devotional service, the Jiva Bhuta becomes elevated to the Brahma Bhuta. So the Shikshastaka 4 tells us about this Brahma Bhuta stage. We come to that position of transcendence. And in that position of transcendence, the desire that we have, because again, to come to that stage of Vasudeva is the stage that allows full consciousness of Vasudeva. So Vasudeva, Krishna, appears fully manifested in the Vasudeva stage. That's the space in which Krishna fully manifests himself. We can actually be Krishna conscious. We can actually see in Krishna and realize Krishna. Krishna appears fully within the heart. So that is the whole understanding of how Krishna appeared in the heart of Vasudeva, and then Vasudeva then transferred that to Devaki. So similarly, for the living entity, when we reach that state of Vasudeva, then Krishna becomes fully manifested within our heart. And then our desire is to unify constantly with Krishna. So Shikshastaka 4 is that prayer. My only desire is to be at your service life after life. And then please, pick me up from this ocean of material existence. I'm a dust. I'm simply a speck of dust in your lotus feet. Somehow or other, I have fallen into this ocean of material existence. So please pick me up. That's Shikshastika 5. Then Shikshastika 7 tells about the devotee thinking in this way when these symptoms of bhava will appear. When will oh my Lord, thinking about you, when tears of love will flow from my eyes like torrents of rain. And this is what happened here to when will my voice choke up, and when more tears will flow from my eyes like torrents of rain. So the devotee is thinking like that. So this is this position when the symptoms of prema collide with emotions, and then it brings out all these manifestations of ecstasy. So here we reading about both Vasudeva and Devaki being overwhelmed by these symptoms of ecstasy, these external symptoms of ecstasy. So they throats are choked up with tears, and they're actually coming out with such a force that is, they're soaking Krishna and Balaram with their tears. It is explained, it's like an Abhishek. And, you see with Abhishek, you bathe in the deities, with liquids. So in this case, they've been bathed literally by the tears of love. And it's explained that they were bound. It was such a strong weapon. It is explained that it's like a rope weapon that is inescapable. Srila Jiva Goswami said. You're completely controlled by it, and you can do anything about it. So that was the weapon of love that these two great devotees, these great personalities were experiencing, Vasudeva and Devaki. Then, and Maharaj Parikshit, Srila Sukadeva Goswami recognized Maharaj Parikshit. You can understand this, which is quite wonderful too. Maharaj Parikshit also was a Rasika devotee. Maharaj Parikshit had the opportunity to see Krishna face to face when he was in the womb. And he was constantly looking for Krishna throughout his life. So he was constantly meditating on Krishna from the moment of being an embryo. So that was his stage. So he could understand all the things. And he's been recognized by Sukadeva Goswami and other Rasika devotees. So in text number 12, then text number 12 again reads like this. Thus having comforted his mother and father, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the son of Devaki, installed his maternal grandfather Ugrasena as the king of the Yadus. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on this verse. Krishna comforting Vasudeva and Devaki occurred out of the side of Nanda. Quote, my son, tired from the fight, has retired to the inner chambers where Vasudeva and others, in great bliss, are feeding him out of affection. Since he has gone there, I will go to my own rooms, since I have no fear for my son's safety now. So this is Nanda Maharaj speaking, saying that he went to his room and therefore did not see the exchange between Krishna and Devaki and Vasudeva. So Krishna makes all these arrangements not to disturb the parental mood, because he have two sets of father and mother, two sets of parents, Nanda and Yasoda and Vasudeva and Devaki. So not to disrupt any of that. So it will be very difficult for the flow of, if they're all present there. So, and then there's the aspect of the works of Yoga Maya, which is something that is quite fascinating to understand. That this is all orchestrated by Yoga Maya, that the devotee is not able to see properly, Krishna's pastimes like that, and understand Krishna's position. It's like this: when you come to the Vasudeva stage, again, talking onto that, one becomes everything, all the different obstacles that may be covering our understanding of Krishna, they're removed. So you can see perfectly Krishna and Krishna's position. So that is the stage, the Vasudeva stage is a stage of awe and reverence. When you understand Krishna's greatness, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in all his opulence, in full. You can understand Krishna with all his 6 opulences in full. And in that position, naturally, you surrender to Krishna. When one comes to understand. Krishna mentions that in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya parabho mata sarvam pravardate iti matva bhajante man. So that when one comes to understand that, then I naturally surrender to Krishna. Naturally surrender to Krishna. The surrendering means, that he is my master, I'm his eternal servant. I'm just a particle. So one have that full understanding, complete understanding of the transcendental reality and Krishna's position. So in that stage, there is no possibility of having an intimate relationship with Krishna like a lover or a friend or a parent. Therefore, in Vaikuntha, there is not such a thing of, the parents of Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayan. There's not such a thing. That's not a relationship that exists in Vaikuntha. There's a conjugal relationship with Lakshmi, but it doesn't transcend. Lakshmi is always at its lotus feet, massaging the lotus feet of the Lord. So the intimate relationship of dancing with the Lord and joking with the Lord and even sometimes chastising, all these things that happens, in Vrindavan, there's no access for Lakshmi Devi to have that type of relationship with the Lord. It's a relationship of awe and reverence, of service, of servitorship. So, in order for the devotee in that stage of Vasudeva to be able to engage with the Lord in one of these higher rasas, parental, friendship, and conjugal, you cannot see the Lord as a supreme. That has to be covered. So you don't see. You just don't see. And it's quite something when the particular stage of consciousness that one has makes you blind to certain realities. It's something that happens materially, it's something that happens spiritually. That even though you are witnessing, it's in front of you, actions that clearly define, something, and it's happening in front of you, but according to a particular stage of consciousness that you are, you may see it or may not see it. So in the case of Nanda Maharaj and the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they see Krishna performing all these wonderful activities right in front of them. In so many instances in Vrindavan, in the case, this, pastime that we use, Krishna killing Kamsa in Mathura, they were all present, seeing how Krishna dealt with, the elephant, dealt with the wrestlers, Krishna and Balaram, and, killed Kamsa eventually, all in front of them. So, Nanda Maharaj and the inhabitants of Vrindavan, although that is happening there, they didn't see Krishna as a supreme. Vasudeva and Devaki, they saw Krishna as a supreme. And therefore, when Krishna first came to them, they just stood there, seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, coming to them. So awe and reverence. So this Maya potency comes to completely make the devotee forget. Actually, it's out of your consciousness. It's out of your consciousness. So they don't see. They don't see Krishna's position. And then, because you're in that Vasudeva stage of actually it's pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness, meaning that Krishna is in your heart, then the only thing that comes out is, by Krishna's arrangement, is the desire of the devotee to engage with Krishna in these different moods of relationships. So it's almost like, the devotee is like this gray damp of, prema, and then you leave the wall or the door, that contains that damp, and then the rush of prema just comes out, very strongly. So it's quite something how just that is there, that the whole arrangements of Krishna to facilitate and reciprocate with the desire of the devotees. In this case, Devaki and Vasudeva have been Krishna's parents from many different lifetimes, because as devotees in that perfect stage of Krishna consciousness, they have this desire to have Krishna as their son. And Krishna blessed them with that. And during 3 different lifetimes, they were Krishna's parents. It is explained that. So Um, that's the wonderful arrangements of Krishna, and how he reciprocates with these different devotees to make sure that that flow doesn't get interrupted. Srila Jiva Goswami comments on text number 12. Ugrasena was qualified to be the king of the Yadus, to be respected, being a maternal grandfather, and because he should be respected for his relationship with his parents. The word "tu" indicates his main aim in doing this, his desire to return to Gokula. In the Harivansa, Krishna speaks to Ugrasena, quote, "With great affection I wander, and will like an elephant among the cows, along with the cowherds in Vrindavan." Sorry, I bring this. I read it again. With great affection, I wandered at will, like an elephant among the cows, along with the cowherds in Vrindavan. I say to you 100 times that, in truth, I do not want to be the king. This is Krishna speaking. Announce this publicly. I consider that you, the best of the Yadus, should be the king and master. O best of kings, you should be consecrated in your kingdom. So Krishna, it is explained, Srila Jiva Goswami, that internally Krishna didn't want to take this position as being the king of the Yadus in Mathura. Rather, his desire was, internal desire is to go back to Vrindavan. But, he installed King Ugrasena, his maternal grandfather. And, but we know that at the end, Krishna remained there in Mathura, and there's a reason why he remained in Mathura. Well, part of his pastimes, he came to eliminate all the demons. So, but one of the things that happens that explains in Krishna Lila is that he remained in Mathura for protecting, because when all the associates of Krishna, of Kamsa, headed by Jarasandha, who was Kamsa's father-in-law, that they were combining with all kinds of demons to attack Mathura and Vrindavan. All those who were dear to Krishna, they were in danger. So Krishna remained in Mathura, for the protection of his devotees, like that. And so he withstand all the attacks of these demons, headed by Jarasandha. And then eventually when Jarasandha got together with another demon, what was his name? Kalanemi. The one that was killed by Muchukunda. Kalayavana. So they got together, they band together to attack Mathura from all sides. So that's when Krishna moved the whole Yadu dynasty to Dwarka, and to take away the whole heat, of these attacks, constant attacks from the area of Mathura Vrindavan. So, so then, he moved the whole kingdom to Dwarka. So he installed King Ugrasena. Krishna made Ugrasena the king, but not as he was before, since this was done by Bhagavan, he who can do nor not do or do otherwise. You got that? Yeah. Because of the Lord's affection for his devotee, The curse of Jayati, the curse of Jayati was that Yadus should not be kings, was not considered relevant. So you remember, the curse of Jayati. This is described in the Bhagavatam when Jayati was, a descendant in the Bharat dynasty, in the Moon dynasty, and he was married to the daughter of Sukracharya, which was Shakuntala, I believe. Yes. But then he took another woman. I sort of remember the past like this. He took another woman, and Sukracharya was very unhappy about that. And he cursed Jayati to become an old man, completely devoid of all his strength and his potency. So Jayati was, this old feeble man, so he was very distressed. And he pleaded with his father-in-law, but here is Krishna installing Ugrasena, a descendant of Yadu, as the king of the dynasty. So it is explained here that, because it was Krishna who installed him, then, the curse was, it's like the king can pardon, or the president can issue a pardon to someone who has been punished. So in this way, the curse was not relevant. Thus, previous kingship in the Yadu dynasty was actually imaginary. That was Kansa, was a previous one. So, and even Ugrasena went. So it was not, it was accepted as imaginary. Ugrasena was made king after freeing him from prison. This was explained at the end of the first chapter. Vishnu Purana says, quote, Krishna freed Ugrasena from his bondage and consecrated him in his kingdom now that his son was dead. Harivansa described Ugrasena lamenting from Kansa's death, but it should be understood that his lamentation was only customary. This is not even considered by Sukadev. Other facts in the Harivansa, such as not being imprisoned, different levels of reality, and what happens. Yeah. But there's the ones that we can, we in one sense sometimes experience certain how you call that, shadow reflections of this type of emotions. So, there are situations in which you can control tears, and they're just, pour out. And also hairs standing on air or being sort of stunned, that type of thing. Things like that happens to people. But, they're just reflections or shadow reflections of the real thing, which is like described here.